So today, I'm going to be talking about how in the early years women were treated as second-class citizens.
A little louder, son.
So back then in the early years, women were treated as second-class citizens. But, they were not allowed to vote. They couldn't do the same work as men, and they couldn't be a part of the government. And women back then, women were expected to marry. They was expected to take care of the household and take care of the children. And so attempts at improving the rights of women were attempted by this group called Victorian Women's Suffrage Society back in 1884. And so
Women's what?
Victorian Women's Suffrage Society.
Suffrage?
Suffrage. And this happened in 1884. The right to own property was also given in 1884 to married women. And so the right for the University of Melbourne gave the University of Melbourne.
Time. Give me your snacks. Okay. Eat your snack, put it in your mouth right now. Because your snack don't got you looking and paying attention to him. I can't say the same for you, but all right.
The University of Melbourne gave women an opportunity to get education in 1880. And also in 1884, the University of Melbourne's medical school, they basically accepted female applicants. So they basically accepted females to come into their school. So back in the late 19th century, the concept of women's rights was being spoken of in Victoria by Vida Goldstein. Now, Vida Goldstein was a woman who she was basically a part of, like, she was basically kind of like Martin Luther King fighting for blacks. That's Vida Goldstein. She was like fighting for women's rights and trying to help them gain their rights back. And so, we think, thanks to Goldstein and thousands of women like her, they basically received the right to vote in 1908. By the 1960s and 70s, the Victorian women's liberation movement was focusing on 4 basic rights, and those are the right to decide whether or not to have an abortion, the right to free childcare, and the right to receive the same pay as men. And the other one is the right to the same education as men.
So women didn't have the same education as men either?
No.
Wow.
See, back then women were, like I said, they were expected to marry, take care of the household and the children.
You hear that, honey?
The battle for equal pay lasted through the 1970s. And cases also exist in the early 1980s. So this was still going on when you guys was born.
Right.
When you
not,
guys was
not too long ago.
No.
Right.
And so despite the amendment to Constellation and Arbitration Act to secure minimum wage for all adults in 1973. I'll talk about that a little later.
About what?
About the Arbitration Act.
Okay.
Although women have achieved much in fight for equal rights, small groups continue to fight for their rights in all of the world. the Arbitration Act is basically an act that basically it gives the government privacy. Like, they can hide stuff from the people. So that's why you see the government hiding stuff a lot now. So that's it. The end.
Okay.
Be still.
Okay. Well, we got some questions, sir. We got some questions.
Look over here.
Your mama, she's trying to be a news reporter. So can you just tell us in your own opinion, like give us like your own opinion, man, too, about just sum it up for us. Give us a summary.
So basically back then, the white men was basically, they saw themselves first, then women, and then blacks, because they didn't think we were citizens. They didn't call us citizens, really. And so basically women, the reason why they were treated as second-class citizens is because, like I said, they had to marry, take care of the household, take care of the children. So basically, right there, it tells you that they didn't get education, because who needs education to take care of the household and take care of the children?
Right.
And so they didn't, so basically it was hard on women. So like, it was hard on women to not leave their man. It was hard for them to not leave their husband. So that's why back then there was very few widows. That's what you call widows, is what you call women that basically widows is what you call women that basically left their husband. And so,
Husband died.
yeah, or the husband died.
Single. Okay.
Yes, basically you call them single women, single.
Okay.
And so, women back then, like I said, it was hard on them because, they couldn't own property. They couldn't own property unless they got married.
So
and
in that type of condition like that, how hard do you think the widows or the single women had it, and why?
Well, the widow, I think that, the widows in them, they thought it was hard on them because basically, although they had their husband's name, because, you have to, like, some husbands, they make you have to take their name, their last name. And so, although they had their husband's name, like, if they left their husband, they like, the neighborhood, like, kind of like everybody around her would look at her down and stuff. Like, they would basically, wouldn't even have nothing to do with her. Like, they wouldn't even take care of her. Even if she had, let's say if there was a widow, right? And this widow had 4 children. And so her and her 4 children, they would have to they would have to provide on their own. And so out of those 4 children, if she has a man, because hopefully she does. Hopefully she does have a boy, because if she don't, it'll be hard. She'll probably have to plan her own stuff, basically. And
it'd be hard. Why? Why would it be hard?
It'll be hard because if she doesn't have a boy child, because back then men were they was up top. They were the ones who was working. They was the ones who was taking all the jobs. So if she didn't have a boy child that was up to age, because she can have like a little child, like a little Klein and Avery's age, a little child working. No, she had to have a boy child that was like 16 or so, 17.
Right.
And so basically she would have to she would have to tell her boy child to go work, go find a job.
Mm-hmm.
And could take care of the house, take care of her and the rest of his siblings and stuff.
Mhm.
And so basically that boy child would be the man of the house.
Right.
And so
You know.
and so basically if she had all girls, she wouldn't be able to make a living because she has all girls. Like
she couldn't. What,
she couldn't buy property. She couldn't work. None of her children could work either. She couldn't work, and so basically she'll probably get some luck with probably trying to find a good neighbor or something, or find another widow that has just find something. Like basically it was just gambling.
Right. I understand. I got a question for you. Did you do a research to find out, after, because we as black people in 1865, that's when we were